The film begins in a house on the northwest coast of Mexico where a man named Richard is having breakfast with his son, Taylor. While preparing food for Taylor, Richard asked him if he had completed his homework. Taylor did not give any answer and returned to finish his breakfast. Since his mother passed away a few months ago, Taylor had become unruly and rarely communicated with his father. The relationship between Taylor and Richard was not very close. Taylor kept hating and blaming his father for his mother's death. As a single parent, Richard could only do his best to have his son get enough love and attention. After feeling full from breakfast, Taylor asked Richard for pocket money and prepared to go to school. After Taylor left, Richard got a phone call from the school informing him that Taylor had hit other children. Richard was also asked to warn him not to repeat the same mistakes again because he had been involved with school violence for the past few months. In the afternoon, Taylor arrived home. Richard, who had just finished his carpenter's job, tried to get Taylor to talk to him about his problem at school, but he kept avoiding Richard and saying he didn't want to repeatedly discuss the issue. Richard advised him not to permanently solve the problem with violence, but Taylor continued to ignore his words. Before entering his room, Taylor defended himself by saying he had to beat up the bad boys because they had insulted his mother and called him an orphan. Listening to Taylor's explanation, Richard felt guilty about everything that had happened to him. He convinced Taylor that he would try to be a good father to him. Taylor learned martial arts from his pad and began practicing the movements in his room. Shortly after, Richard came and asked Taylor to finish his homework because his teacher had repeatedly called him. Richard returned to continue his work as a programmer. He had previously been a National Intelligence Agency intelligence agent and computer expert. Before he decided to quit his job at the Federal Intelligence Agency, he used to be the most reliable agent in his organization to execute hardened criminals in Mexico. One day, Richard was busy with his work and was suddenly shot using an anesthetic rifle from a distance. Then he fell unconscious. The following night, when Richard woke up from the unconscious, he got a call from a mysterious man. He called him by the name of Nero. The mysterious man said he knew Richard's past, who was once nicknamed the Killing Machine. He said that he had kidnapped Taylor. Nero was the name Richard used when he was an active agent and carried out important missions to arrest criminals. The mysterious man then sent a video to Richard, or what we will henceforth refer to as Nero, showing Taylor being held captive in a room. He ordered Nero to carry out a mission if he didn't want to see Taylor killed by poison gas. Nero had no choice but to obey the mysterious man's order and prepare to carry it out. The mystery man had designed some weapons and ammunition for Nero and a camera to see Nero's fighting action live. He had also set up a bulletproof SUV with GPS of the location Nero had to go to. Nero rushed to the place even though he still did not know what mission he had to do. In the middle of the trip, Nero got a chance to communicate with Taylor. He tried to calm Taylor down by telling him everything would be okay. After the communication was cut off, Nero asked the mystery man to ensure that his son would be fine. The mysterious man said he could only guarantee Taylor's safety if Nero trusted him. Upon Nero's arrival at a designated hotel, the mysterious man ordered him to kill 2 drug cartels holding a meeting, Rosa and Garza cartels. The scene turns to the mysterious man who kidnapped Taylor. He was apparently the leader of a drug cartel, Mizamo. He intended to eliminate his rival cartels to dominate the drug cartel network in Mexico. He kidnaps Nero's son to use Nero's skills to kill all his rivals without getting his hands dirty. He instructed Nero to go to a hotel building and executed all the Rosa and Garza cartel members. Nero had to fight dozens of armed men, and he could quickly kill the cartel members. After killing them in the main room, Nero searched every other room to execute the remaining cartel members. He eliminated everyone in the building after an intense fight in the kitchen. Once Nero completed the mission, he rushed into the car and left before the police arrived. Unfortunately, Nero's task still needed to be finished. Mizamo sent the new coordinate point and asked him to complete the same mission at that location. He seemed to enjoy the game he had set up for Nero and watched all the shooting through a camera with his men and his wife, Alanza. Shortly after, Mizamo's partner, Donovan, another cartel chairman, approached Mizamo and asked if their plan had gone well. Donovan turned out to be the one who told Mizamo about Nero. He also came up with the idea of using Nero to carry out the mission. On the other hand, Nero had arrived at the second location per the given coordinates. He prepared to kill another cartel group led by Eleazar Machado. Entering a bar, Nero was ordered to kill all cartel members meeting on the 3rd floor. With the ammunition and weapons, Nero killed all the cartel members. He then went to a room where Eleazar was having fun with a woman. Nero immediately killed him in front of Mizamo and others. After completing the second mission, Nero asked Mizamo to give him a chance to talk to his son. At this moment, Nero apologized to Taylor for putting him in a dangerous situation. Nero then told Taylor that he used to be an intelligence agent in a special force that required him to engage with various criminal groups. He also revealed that Taylor's mother was killed because his partner had betrayed him and divulged his identity to criminals. After finding out all that, Taylor apologized for hating and blaming his father without knowing the truth, and shortly, the phone disconnected. Meanwhile, Mazamo approached Taylor to give him a sandwich and talked to him for a while. The following morning, after a long journey, Nero reached the location of the other cartel headquarters as per the other provided coordinates. On the other hand, Donovan went back to Mazamo to tell him to be careful and act quickly after Nero's mission. He was worried that Nero would kill them after completing his job. Mazamo convinced Donovan not to worry because he still had Nero's son as a hostage. Nero would not do anything that risked threatening his son's life. In the meantime, Taylor tried to free himself from the adhesive rope using a metal blade, and he managed to get free. Meanwhile, Mazamo and his men still enjoyed the game prepared for Nero in his living room. He even asked his cartel members to cheer and support Nero to make the mission run smoothly. At the same time, the leader of one of the largest drug cartels in Mexico, Griego, received information from his accomplices that someone had massacred 3 other drug cartels. He instructed his men to always be prepared because it was likely that their cartel would be the next target. On the other hand, Taylor, who had untied himself, tried to pry open the door using a piece of wood. Meanwhile, Nero had arrived at the Griego cartel. He rushed to carry out an attack. Armed with rifle guns and multiple grenades, he took down one drug cartel member at a time. Unfortunately, after killing the troops in the yard, Nero was shot by Griego, who also turned his camera off. Seeing Nero shot dead, Mazamo was disappointed but was satisfied because his 3 rival drug gangs had been eliminated. Meanwhile, Donovan was relieved that someone who could threaten his safety had died. However, Mazamo wanted to honor Nero, who had fought many enemies alone, by sending his men to attack Griego's base and avenge Nero's death. Without all of them knowing, the real Nero was alive and was interrogated by Griego and his men. Griego asked who had sent Nero to his base and had ordered him to attack Griego's cartel. Nero said he was forced to do all that because the person who called him had kidnapped his son. He had to complete a mission to get his son back. Nero admitted that he didn't know the identity of the person who kidnapped his son and told him to do all this, but that person always said a lot about trust. Griego realized that the mastermind behind all this was Mazamo, the most influential drug cartel group in Mexican territory that had been his rival for years. Nero seemed familiar with Mazamo's name and asked Griego where Mazamo lived. But even though Griego had shared the information about where Mazamo lived, he still did not want to let Nero go. He tried to execute him. Luckily, before Griego pulled the trigger, the members of the Mazamo cartel arrived on the scene and made a big mess at Griego's base. Nero took the opportunity to fight, uncuffed himself, and escaped. He managed to defeat Griego's men and immediately killed Griego. He rushed to Griego's room to take Griego's laptop and car keys to make Mazamo unable to track him. On the other hand, Donovan still couldn't feel at ease because Nero's son was still left alive. He wanted to execute the boy directly before it was too late. At first, Mazamo disallowed Donovan and refused to hand over the car key where Taylor was being held. After Donovan threatened to thwart his business, Mazamo handed the key. Meanwhile, Nero was tracking the location of Mazamo's base using a laptop that he had stolen. Within a short time, he was able to locate it. He immediately left for Mazamo's place to save his son. At the same time, Donovan and his men opened the car garage where Taylor was held captive and flowed poison gas into the car for a few minutes. Donovan put his men on gas masks and opened the car door to ensure Taylor was dead. Unexpectedly, when it was opened, Donovan did not find Taylor in the place, and he thought that Nero had taken Taylor first. At the same time, Nero arrived and infiltrated Mazamo's house by climbing the back gate. Meanwhile, Donovan ordered his men to stand by and told Mazamo that Nero had taken Taylor. Mazamo said to him that the person who had hidden Taylor was himself. He believed Donovan would execute Taylor if the plan went wrong. Although Mazamo was the leader of a major drug cartel organization in Mexico, he was so opposed to violence and murder committed against children that he chose to secure Taylor. In the middle of the argument, Nero suddenly appears and points a gun at Donovan. It turned out that Donovan was a former intelligence agent who was once Nero's partner. He betrayed Nero and killed his wife. Feeling disgusted with all the betrayals Donovan has committed, Nero shoots him and his accomplices. There was a very fierce firefight between them. However, Mazamo helped Nero eliminate Donovan's men. When all the ammunition was used up, Nero was forced to fight one of Donovan's men without using weapons. After everyone has been incapacitated, Nero points a gun at Mazamo and forces him to let Taylor go. Mazamo asked Alanza to free Taylor from the secret room. Nero was very grateful to know that his son was safe and well. After all the dirty games that Mazamo played, Nero intended to kill him in front of his wife. But he undid his intention when Mazamo said it would not solve anything. If Nero kills him, then there will be Mazamo's brother who will come back to chase Nero and take revenge on him so that the revenge cycle will continue to happen over and over again. On the other hand, if Nero lets him live, Mazamo will guarantee his safety and his family, considering that Mazamo is the only largest drug cartel group still surviving in Mexico. After considering everything, Nero decided to let Mazamo live to protect his son because he believed Mazamo could keep his promise. The movie ends with the scene where Nero returns home with Taylor by riding a Harley motorbike Mazamo gave him. The moral of the movie is that the enemy we should be aware of is not the one at our doorstep but within our own house.